and I got challenged by a buddy of mine to do this. I'll say I'm not much of a YouTube person or video talking person, so figured do it because challenged me, and I've had a couple people ask me to, so figured give it a shot. And I feel like a good place to start with what we're doing, and as the Lone Star Bison Company, and kind of what we believe in. It's kind of to tell our story a little bit, and then also uh, tell why bison. So that's another question I've been asked a lot is why bison? Why do we want to run these animals? Why do we want to take care of these animals? And so for us, we look at running bison as kind of a bigger picture than just running livestock or running something agricultural wise. The reason we wanted to run bison and why our passion for them is what it is because for us, it's part of a bigger picture. It's part of something that is fundamental to this land and this country. So a long time ago, uh, we kind of had this dream and this desire and passion to want to get into this industry, and it's been a long and hard road to get to where we're at and to where we are actually have our own and are running our own, and have a business. But the desire for it actually comes more out of a place of the desire to restore land, uh, desire to kind of restore, honestly, creation. For us, it comes down to more of stewardship and care of not only these animals but of the land. So, looking at the bigger picture, for us, it goes back to kind of the beginning of time, uh, when God created the earth, when God created the land, and put Adam and Eve in the garden to be stewards of His creation. And I believe that's a calling that God has placed on all of us, is to be stewards of this earth and of this land. And so, if you look at even the Bible from this perspective of God's creation and our role as stewards of it, uh, it begins to kind of widen your lens to more than just what happens in a church building, more than what happens on a Sunday, into what we do every day and how we care for this earth that God has put us on and honestly put us to care for. Uh, if you look at, for me, years ago, kind of wrestled with what does the image of heaven look like? What does the image of kind of like the afterlife and everything look like? You hear from in old songs and old hymns and things like that, there's kind of this picture and this painting of these pearly gates and streets of gold, and the old hymns of, oh, when I get my mansion, and you know going up to the city in the sky, or heaven in and it's kind of this abstract thing. And it kind of hit me years ago that heaven and the afterlife, what we actually should picture it as, is the restoration of Eden, the restoration of what God originally intended creation to be. If you look at, Scripture says there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and I think that that is part of uh, God's heart and God's intention, is the restoration of uh, His land, His people, all of creation. Years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Haiti to help out with some medical clinics down there. And there you could actually visually see the difference. We went to one village that one village that had a bunch of good people in it, people that had uh, become, Christians, uh, hadn't fallen into, worshiping Satan like the rest of the country outwardly has done. And in this one particular village, the wells had water, the trees were green and blooming, and then we went down the road to one of the worst villages that was full of witchcraft and all sorts of evil and things like that. And everything that grew out of the earth there had thorns and was just dirt and dust, and the wells were dry, and there was nothing but death there. And so it's kind of a long tangent, but it goes back to, the question of why bison. Well, if we believe that our stewardship and our care of this land is part of our calling on earth and what God created us to do, then that question kind of answers itself. Because if you look at North America, bison are the keystone species of North America. For thousands of years, they worked the land, they healed the land, they were the drivers of what, the old Great Plains and the great grassy fields. You would hear stories about, rising up to the saddles on horses. Bison were what God used to create that ecosystem and what God fundamentally designed for uh, North America and for this land. And so our passion and our desire is this restoration of the land and this restoration of what God created here. We want to see the land healed. We want to see proper stewardship and taking a piece of land and returning it to what God originally created and intended it to be. And we believe, there's a lot of avenues that I do believe you can do that. I don't believe it's exclusively through bison, but with their story and what happened to, these animals that almost led to their extinction, our passion is kind of that restoration of them as well. Uh, I've heard countless stories of people who brought bison in and started ranching bison, and over the years they have these old seed banks of prairie grasses that people haven't seen, and 50, 100 years start coming back. And that's kind of our heart, is we want to see this fulfillment and this restoration of the land, and doing that through the means of bison. And these animals are not only incredible for the land, they're what God made for it, but when you look at the health benefits and uh, their their protein quantity, their caloric uh, levels, just everything that they provide nutritionally, even to us, they are just such incredible animals, and what they're able to do and provide uh, is just really a beautiful thing. And that's kind of our heart and who we are and our desire moving forward, and as we grow our business and try to make this whole dream and this vision come to life. That's our heart in it, is this restoration and growth of these animals that were nearly extinct, and this restoration and growth of the land that we believe with proper stewardship and care will actually be able to you know, reflect God, reflect His creation as it was intended to be. And so our vision, if it were to sum it up, would be the vision and the goal of the restoration of Eden in God's original creation and plan. And that's our dream and our hope and our goal. And I guess we will see how these years play out, and we'll go from here.